it was in '68 then, you know, when I was pregnant and I went through all that. Um, Mandy was born in '69, January '69, and I was a junior in high school, and you know, I was back in school and I was trying to get my life together, and you and I were seeing each other here and there, and then I think it was in May or something. My parents said, "Well, we're moving." Selling the house and we're moving because you have shamed us so much that we need to leave town. So we're gonna sell the house and move to Jersey because that's where our family was.
That's a lot of shame.
That's
Move back to Jersey.
I know, that's what I said. Jersey.
Holy cow.
I don't want to go to Jersey. Oh my gosh, please don't. You know. So in June of my junior year, we moved to Jersey, of all places. And then I'm going, oh my gosh, I'll never see Johnny, which is ridiculous because you were hitchhiking all over the place anyway. But we actually did get to see each other quite a few times that summer because then you joined the band, the Afterlife, and you guys would come down and all my girlfriends, I had everybody hooked up. And then it came to Woodstock of '69, and I was living in Jersey there, and we made those plans to go. And for once, you actually showed up when you were supposed to show up. Because I drove back to Middletown, and I stayed at Anita's. Because I told my parents I was going with Anita. That's how I got the car. And thank goodness they didn't look at the news and see, you know, what a crazy thing it was. And but anyway, so you were supposed to meet me there on Saturday morning, and you were at Woodstock. You got out of Woodstock and came. Tell me about that, because that's amazing what you did.
Well, it all started, I was playing in this band, the Afterlife, whose lead singer would later become your husband.
My first husband,
after
yes.
I split. Anyway, what are you going to do?
Shouldn't have left.
Had to. But anyway, so I was playing with this band, and we were booked to play at this small nightclub in Monticello, outside of where Woodstock was. This guy, Steve Paul, ran a nice nightclub famous in New York City called The Scene. He was a record producer and had a nightclub. He was a spiritual advisor to like Johnny Winters and all these other cats. So he had this club, and it turns out he had a lot of pull, and it also turns out we were booked there like the week before Woodstock. So we go up there, and we're playing, and who comes in? Alvin Lee, and 10 years after.
Wow.
Wow!
Jeez.
Like 3 days later, he knocks his socks off at Woodstock. And then the next day, that night, well, Leslie West comes in and plays with Mountain. And I feel like, man, this is the best Woodstock story of all. I got to play with two of the headliners, and in a small club. I mean, interact with them and everything. So anyway, this other guy we knew, Frank, was going up to Woodstock early. It was a big field, and they were putting it together under a lot of pressure, and it really wasn't organized. So you could just drive up there and do what you want. So after the Afterlife playing there, we went over to the field, and Frank had a huge, huge tent, and he had a huge stash of drugs as well. So naturally, we're going to go visit Frank and stay in the big tent, which is what we did. And for days before Woodstock. And then it came the day of Woodstock, that Friday, I guess.
Yeah.
And, it was wonderful, and I had a wonderful time for a while. And then I realized I had to leave Woodstock to find Jill back in Middletown, which is like 25 miles down Route 17.
Yeah, you had to find me.
And we didn't know up in Woodstock, we didn't know what was going on. But it turns out there's a million cars and a million people making their way up to Bethel, New York, and all the roads are clogged. But I, guided by love, made it out of Woodstock all the way down to Middletown. I walk into Anita's house, because she hadn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
And who's there? The guy that owned the farm, Max Yasgur. His daughter is at Anita's house.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a small world. Anyway, and they're all looking at me, and they're saying, like, what are you doing here? How'd you get here?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I came down, and they got the TV on. It's like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. They got the TV on, and it's wall-to-wall coverage. It was a big deal. And Johnny walks in the front door. And I go, what are you doing here? Well, I'm here to pick up Joe. How'd you get here? Anyway, so you came the next...
I came Saturday
next
morning.
Saturday morning.
Early.
And who gets you back into Woodstock?
Oh gosh, I can't believe it.
The Pathfinder.
I know, and I'm driving that little Valiant, and there's all these people in car, and you're directing me, no, go this way, go that way, go, and but then we parked the car. We couldn't.
Walked.
Yeah, and we walked, and what I thought was the coolest was jumping on cars, and everybody's hanging onto the cars and trucks, and we're going through. And you actually got me there.
Back to the Big Tent.
Back to the Big Tent.
Got you in.
I can't believe
no one could get near the place.
I know, and it was awful in the Big Tent. I mean, the rain and the mud and the heat. I am so proud, and I feel very cool that I went to Woodstock. But if anybody was really there, it was the conditions were so bad, and I mean, remember like the porta potties, and there would be people, like 50 people waiting to go to the porta potties, and I swear I don't remember going to the bathroom at all those couple of days because I couldn't get in a porta potty. I don't know, but and then oh my gosh, because I was so sheltered, like I said before, when Country Joe did the fish chant but changed the word, I was in shock hearing this. And then remember we were walking through the woods and everything, and there was like a big group of people that were all naked, and they're splashing around in the water and everything, and I'm like, and then we walked, and there was like a lemonade stand for drugs, like acid, $1, joints, this and that, and there were cops walking and everything, everybody just...
Peaceful.
It was, and all this stuff was allowed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And then we got back to the tent, and like you said, there was a lot of drugs there.
Yeah, there was quite a few. And that's why I don't remember much of what was going on.
Oh my gosh.
But it did sour me on outdoor festivals for a long time. Really did, because I love music, but I like it indoors.
Yeah.
That was a experience. Not to be missed, but not to be repeated either, I tell you.
Yeah, but talk about being missed. We missed so many acts because we were out of it. We were just out of it. I remember lying in this tent. There was water and mud and everything, and oh my gosh. But I still, oh God, when I went back to Jersey then, I had to start high school in a school I didn't want to be in. But I became a little popular because I had been to Woodstock. So at least I had that. That kind of gave me an in. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, people don't know that Woodstock never happened in Woodstock.
Yeah,
That's
right.
That's the thing. Because when I was a kid, again, started hitchhiking in high school, we used to hitchhike up to Woodstock, New York, which was an artist colony. And Bob Dylan and the band all lived up there. And everybody from the city would go up to Woodstock, New York to chill out in the woods. So.
Right. And I remember that you had to get tickets.
Yeah.
For it, and I think it was like for 3 days it was $18, something like that.
$6 a day.
Oh
man.
my gosh!
Can you imagine? Yeah.
And then all these people start showing up.
And then it was free.
And then
they knocked the fence down.
Knocked the fence down.
Came in.
Yep, knocked it down, and then because we just walked right in. Yeah. But getting back to Country Joe, after he did the fish chant, then he went into singing the Vietnam War, the anti-Vietnam War song, that Fixin' the Die Rag.
Yeah.
But it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Come on, don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open them girly gates. Oh, we ain't got time to wonder why.
Whoopee!
We're all gonna die.
God.
I know, isn't that awful?
Yeah.
I know, that was, everybody trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, I remember seeing them in San Francisco.
Mm. I remember, though, you told me, you said you didn't work in San Francisco, but you did tell me you got some kind of a job when you were out there.
Yeah. I was one of the famous bicycle messenger boys. That was a thing back then. One-speed bicycle on hilly San Francisco.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Lombard Street?
No. No. But it was an interesting job because I got to meet a lot of interesting people. Back then, before the internet and everything, there's a lot of artists, printers, designers and whatnot, and they would need someone to carry their artwork or whatever from place to place,
Yeah.
and from a typesetter to a design house to a printer to whatever. And they used these bicycle boys, messenger boys, to do that. And it was, you always met interesting people. And I'm a people person, so I love to hear the story. So it was a really cool job. I quit it because the guy who had been there 10 years, who had a motorcycle, said, Johnny, if you keep this up in 10 years, instead of a bicycle, you might graduate to a motorcycle. I said, no. I turned in my resignation the next day.
But didn't you get hired because they hired you because you were prepared? You told me about that.
Yeah. Because they had open call on Tuesdays. Anybody wanted a job to come in on Tuesdays and see the best. And all these losers would come in. What I call losers, unprepared or whatever. And I didn't grow up in San Francisco. So what I did was, I went to the gas station and got a map, because they would have a questionnaire about how you got to go to Pacific whatever.
Yeah.
So Pacific Avenue, how you going to get there? I pulled out the map, and the guy hired me right there because I showed initiative.
Well, there you go.
Uh-huh.
And you got hired.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you sure did have some interesting jobs in Middletown. That I guess it was '68 when you were.
Yeah.
You worked in the sub shop,
Yeah.
slicing tomatoes,
Yeah. $3 a day.
and he wouldn't let you work the cash register.
I didn't have enough character. Just had a Group W bench for the sub shop. They wouldn't let me near the cash register. I could shred the lettuce and slice the tomatoes and onions. But I couldn't meet the public.
Right, it was before he opened up.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, you just kept yourself in drug money.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. Good times.
I lived upstairs. I squatted in an apartment and no one was not rented, so I just moved in.
I went in that apartment. I remember that apartment.
Yeah, we had some good times.
I did.